Brewster was gone a long time, right? Bible study going on here. And in that time, the bag and the two bag servants doubled their money. Now they had bags of gold. So they didn't just double $1. They doubled, let's say they had $1,000,000 one body, and 2 million and 5 million one body went from 5 million to 10, one body went from 4. A lot of money, right? But the one bag paid the money. What are the things that we're learning from this? What are some of the things that we're getting from this? The master said, call that servant wicked and lazy. Wicked and lazy. Remember what we're talking about. Call to work. He called that servant wicked and lazy. He said at a minimum, you should have at least put it on side. Get me some interest on it. At the minimum. Right? But the other servants were rewarded. And let's think about this. Let's take a break from the scripture. So I'm going to read scripture and the money to work. Does it mean they put it in bank? I went home, I went, what? Thank you, Donna. What does it mean that they put the money to work? What is required in putting money to work? Well, invest it. What else? Start a business. Whatever is involved in work. Correct? So I have the benefit of sharing a home with someone who's into investing. And can I tell you so many lessons I've learned from that? Well, I asked him what the lesson. He gave me a lot of minute lessons. But I've watched him, and I can tell you some of the lessons. You need patience. It doesn't always go your way. Not every business you start succeeds. Not everything you put your hand to thrives. Not every investment you put money in makes money. Sometimes, very often, it's money. Now, if these guys double their money, sometimes, we approach scripture and we think in very magical terms. We think that they started a business, everything went well, and in that time, the money just doubled. That's how we think about it. But that's not reality. That's not life. I'm calling us to life. I'm calling us to reality, not fairy tale land. Right? That money requires a lot of work. One of the other things I asked him one time, he would wake up, go downstairs, and sit in front of him. He is there all the time, into the night. I go to and he's still reading charts, doing the point is work is involved. It's going to take something out of you. It took something out of them. And they were the ones who were rewarded, who was not rewarded. The one who took it, put it down. The one who took it, put it down. And what I learned from that is that the master expects us to increase whatever he's entrusted us with. The question is, what have you been entrusted with? And the teaching here is that everybody has something according to their ability. I don't care if it's one of a kind. Everybody has something according to their ability. God is expecting, not that you give him back what he gave you. He's expecting. So the question is, am I increasing what he's given? And like I said, it's not about condemnation, it's about challenging us. I'm asking myself, sometimes when Pastor asks me to share our dreams, Pastor, if you're watching script that. The point is, we are called to work. That's the point. Right? Now, in John 21, I'm going to look at something that really jumps up when I was looking at it. John 21, I'll get it for us. John 21, verse 16. Now, this is after Jesus' resurrection, right? I'm reading from the NIV. John 21, 16, 22. Now, when they had finished eating, this is the fish, that time went by the eating and food that was casting and they got fish and then they ate it and all that. When they finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he said. You know that I love you. Jesus said, see I have. Again, Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He answered, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said, take care of my sheep. The third time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was first. Since Jesus asked him the third time, do you love me? He said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you dressed yourself whenever you want. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hand, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want. Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death by which people will glorify God. Then he said, follow me. Peter turned and saw that the disciple whom Jesus loved was following him. This was the one who had leaned back against Jesus at the supper and said, Lord, who is going to betray me? As Peter saw him, he asked, Lord, what about him? Jesus answered, if I want to remain alive until I return, what is that? You must follow me. And I'll stop there. Now, what are some of the observations that we have here? We see Jesus repeating the instructions to Peter 3 times. And in those 3 times, to get him healed. Doesn't feel like Jesus questioning people. But I think that there's something important being taught here. Because when Jesus tells Peter to follow, he predicates it on the knowledge of Peter's love. He says, do you love me? Change my name. Do you love me? And then he tells him to follow him. But something is interesting at the end. Peter then turns around after all of this, asks about God. What are they talking about? And what does Jesus do? Jesus says, my Lord, baby. I was like, Jesus said, even mine is this. That ain't got nothing to do with you. And the lesson that I have there, is what God is calling you to do has nothing to do with anybody else. Don't ask the about sheep. Why he is doing it? What is that to you? God tells you to do it. Do it. Does it mean that it's going to work out for your good? Depends on how we define good. Because earlier it says that talking about how people glorify God instead. How we define these things is important. The point is, your walk, your work has nothing to do with the negative person. Donna also comes up here and shares her texts and her journey and her walk. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it goes like, I can't do that. No, you can't. But what can you do? What are you doing? Are you warming the church? Church on warming? Are you managing the clothes? Got them in the store? What are you doing? And in Matthew 28:19, you don't have to go there to see all of it. What does that say? Go therefore, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. But something happens there in Matthew that many of us go, I don't sense it. I never know. So it talks about how they went up in the mountain and they worshiped. But it said, and some, you can read it, you can break it down. Matthew 28:19, but some don't. But in the midst of that, Jesus gives an instruction to all 11, including those who don't. And I learned something from that. Jesus' instructions, Jesus' direction. I know he's not deep. Faith is important. But God's plan can, whether you doubt or not. And sometimes we want to know everything. We want to know that if I do this, then if I start this ministry, then they've got 10 people, and I can minister to 10 people, and then they're going to impact them, and they're going to become Christians, and we got it all planned out, what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. But that might not be reality. Point to get up and go. God will bless, direct your effort if you are followers of Him. Someone once said, I don't remember how they did it, but there's a law of, I forget how to call it, but it stated that a body continues in a state of rest or unrest unless acted upon by an external force. Yes, one of Newton's laws. And we often want God to start us moving. That's how I've been in church long. That's how we are. We want God to start us moving. We want to go and pray and fast, and for God to tell us, go up there tomorrow and say to Susan, so and so and so and so. That's what we want to do. We don't want to be in the Word, praying, reading the Word, walk outside, butt up on Susan, have the Word in our hearts and be able to speak. That's what we want. We want God to be able to say, Susan will be out there tomorrow. So come, read this passage because that's what you're going to need for the moment. That's what we want. I ain't lying because I know that's what we want. And that's what we want. We want God to act upon us in a place of inertia. It is so much easier to keep something moving than always starting. So much. Try it and get something heavy and try to push it in front of your exhaust. Let it get it moving. And see, even me. Can keep it moving. Even me can keep it moving. Right? So we don't need to understand it all. You just now I want us to look at some proverbs. I'm not going to use this one here. I want us to look at some proverbs for words. Now I can just come and tell you what it is. But I wanted to really share from us something that I see in Scripture. And something that I wanted to encourage and leave in our hearts, perhaps to jumpstart something now. In Proverbs 14 and 20, and you can go back and Proverbs 14 and 22. In the NIV it says, all hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leaves only the problem. Here's my question. Are you working hard or are you doing well? So we say that the world needs, there's a world out there that's working and fighting. Is that mere talk or a word? Proverbs 10:4. Lazy hands make for poverty. Well, you have the end, but diligent hands bring wealth. Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. Let's ponder on that. How many of us have wasted opportunities because our hands are weak? Because all we want to do is just or rest or what? Or going. remember, I think on the knee, I talking to myself. What I say, right? Then he has me from the public, finishing time. I'm covered for 30 years, so I like this one. Covered for 30 years. He also says, I read past the field of struggle, past the vineyard of someone who had no strength. Thorns had come up every year. The ground was covered in, and the stone wall was healed. I applied my heart to what I observed and learned the lesson from what I saw. A little peace, a little slumber, a little folding of the house to rest. And poverty will come on you like peace. And here, I don't know if any of you have ever done anything at work. I tried a little bit more. Not with gardening, much. Well, I'm going to tell you, I gave up. I will go and pull grass and think of pull the next section for. And by the time I get back to the next part that I pull had grass again, and then it was a losing battle. And so I understood when you're in an environment like that, I understood the importance of diligence. You see, because of my spirit, so this stems from those forms of work. Our work is work done. All right, time to go to sleep. Don't really understand the importance of it. No, I want to look at some hard workers in the Bible, and I won't go there. So I just want to remind us of the thing is, we go to these persons in church, love to talk about them, love to entertain them. When we talk about their victories and all the good things that they've achieved and all of that stuff. And somehow it seems to me, sometimes it feels like we have just read, there was a man called, and he did great things. And somewhere in our mind, the middle part, and we join them back together. We forget about people like Jacob. We know his story. We're talking about that recently. We forget what he went through. We forget how he worked for 7 years and getting the wrong woman. Then he had to get the other woman, and it was straight to the house. How Laban changed his wages countless times, and after 20 years, he's still prosperous. We forget the journey. We forget that it doesn't just happen. But one of my favorites, we'll talk about it, is that we love that. We love reading Daniel. And not reading about Daniel. No, it's wonderful. He's a man who got such revelation from God about things way beyond his time. A man who excelled in spiritual things. So I will tell you about that. Daniel was a man who was captured as a youth, taken from himself, put into the king's gap. Do you know what that means? He was most likely made so he was captured. The possibility of a family of things that he lived in was national. That's that. He's not just a great prophet. He's the one who suffered great lies. That's that. He's someone who studied a foreign language for 3 years and then was tested. That's that. He's someone who excelled in serving at least 3 different administrations. 3 different administrations. With different agendas, different priorities, and none of them fought. And yet he served them faithfully. And do you know what it said of him when they went to, the last one, when they went to get rid of him? They said handling of the king's business was above his work, not spiritual partner. This isn't training, this isn't past, this isn't none of that. His handling of the king's business was above his goal. This is why they had to get it based on how he interacted with God. Because there was nothing else. The question that I had for myself is, can that be said of me? Is my handling of the things that have been entrusted to me above reproach? Or do I think that if the church got some things and no, don't get me wrong, let me start with this one thing, not an either or. As we see in the life of Daniel, Daniel excelled. Daniel fasted, Daniel prayed, Daniel got visions that we would love to get. But none of them came at the expense of his service of him. Rather, it was his service to the king that gave him access. It was that service. That's why we know about it, because of that. And I don't have to call so many other names. I was actually thinking, is that anybody who was rewarded or had God called that didn't have to do anything with racism? I want them in a good one. I came up with Saul, God showed him a thing, he was taller. Maybe, since you didn't have to work, maybe she didn't have to work to become me. Maybe. She just had to, although some people might do work, but that's a story for another time. At most, those were the most I could tell at. Yeah. Go through the beauty treatments and maybe, but at most. Those are the most I could come up with. Aside of that, there's nobody else. There is nobody else, church. So if we want the things we say we want, we have to look at the biblical example. Ian always says, biblical pattern gets biblical results. The biblical pattern works, and enough of it. Hardship, and a lot of it. Endurance, and plenty of that. That's what biblical matters. And we were reminded, I'll just call her name, we were reminded, I think, of 2 weeks back by that when she talked to Barbara. They remember her story and how her service to others, something else that they cried out for her, and because of that, she was interceded for, and the apostles came and prayed, and she brought back to life. It was her word, it was her journey. We actually go to these life all types of work. Now, when I'm talking work, talk all about that, to understand that work is required, is going to be what types of work that we're talking about. Get Can you talk about some of the types of work? What are some types of work that we're talking about? Now, I know that we can talk some of those right? Employer, plumbing work, we have to live right, talk about that. We have to fellowship, we gather fasting, Bible study. All of those things are part of the work that I'm talking about. What I'm calling us to, and the reason I have the other tools highlighted, is not because they're more important, because I think that's our fun. We understand the importance of prayer. Maybe do more of that. We understand the importance of fasting. Probably do more of that. We understand the importance of fellowship. People there. We understand the importance of evangelizing. Critical. We understand the importance of Bible study. We get it. Sometimes we don't make the link between our service and also our job. And that's the kind of work that I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about other things. Those are important. But what I'm talking about today specifically is serving our neighbors. That's what I'm going to tell you. Now, growing up, I've often been hesitant about these things because sometimes you can meet with certain charitable organizations. And that's not primarily what we are, right? That's not primarily what we are. We are here to meet. People here to tell you who you're witnessing to. Who are the people that you're witnessing to? All of us in here, more than we are believers. So we encourage change each other, but to whom are you listening? To whom are you demonstrating the love of God? Where is the aspect of serving your generation? What has God called you to do to serve your generation? Are you waiting for church to start a charitable program, outreach program, and then, okay, the church doing it so I can do it? Is there something in your heart that you say, you know what, there are people here that need something, and I don't know how to do it. I'm not exactly sure how, but there's something in my heart. Are you willing to try? Are you willing to serve your generation? I won't tell her story. Many of you know her story, but I asked Donna for her family. I'm not going to tell her story. But I asked her about her journey. And when I was talking to her, something what really stood out. The start of the journey. We see her now talking about going here and meeting these people and doing these things and having a chance to speak about God to these people. But it didn't start there. It started volunteering to help them. And like Daniel, her obedience put her before those who were now evil, put her in. I'm not just done. We could talk about other people. But I want us to be thinking about what can I serve? And one of the things, that we need to challenge ourselves on is that we can fill our hours with things that pertain to us. There's a lot to do. There's a lot. We have a young family with a need. There's a lot to do with that's involved with that. Many hours at night when I see them, probably not. But beyond that, there's a generation we often sing. And we sing songs, hear the sound that I heard Papa Puma talk about that. Sound of the nation calling. Who will go for us? Who will go? I'm not calling us to condemnation. Calling us to ask the Lord to position us to serve our faith. There's a lot more. There's a lot more. And in Matthew 25, the Lord is come to give you compassion. He said, pray, Lord, you punish me. That's not somebody else. When you're praying that, that's not somebody else. Not saying, Lord, although, if we're honest with ourselves, that's really what we're praying for. If I'm honest with myself, it's obviously not that's what I'm praying. Lord, raise up people who will minister to the youth. Father, raise them up that they may speak to them. Why not? not need a national news. Why not? You don't have to be a Bible scholar. You know the requirements of what you can. What is confused? What are you doing with your life? Or your or your temperament? Or your sex? I don't care how big or small it is. What are you doing? Who are you serving your generation? Are you filling your hours just with things that hurt? Are you interested? Is your heart brave for others? With the compassion of God stirring you to action? Others speak well of God because you. What do you do? You're back. Father, come and be broken, understanding that you called us to so much. Father, you said that there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ. So we don't come from that. We ask God that you would cure our hearts. So that He brings in our hearts ideas and same with that we've not done anything with. We ask for your forgiveness. And we ask that you would lead us. God, that you would light a fire in us. That we would be those, Father, who serve our generation. We will be those who tell of your goodness, who witness of your love, not just with the words of our lips, but with the work of our hands. Father, strengthen us, guide and direct us. In Jesus' name.